this weekend, a potentially significant winter storm will make its way here through the Northeast, as well as impact some of the southern states. So let me show you what you can expect. Looking at this synoptically, you can see there's a Baja low that will be off the coast of California, and then here in the Northeast and northern US, we have this little area, but we're going to want this to the circled area to stay, as that's going to be bringing us our cold air, which in return will give higher snowfall ratios. Looking then more towards the Pacific, we could have a subtropical air moisture tap set up, which that will bring some air moisture from the Pacific into this system. So this will give it more energy then to work with in terms of the snow. So then we could see bigger snow ranges and precipitation. So overall, if you're wanting snow with the current setup, it's looking good. Looking at now the temperatures, you can see all of this is extremely cold air. So this will be what will drive higher snowfall ratios. So normally we have snowfall ratios of 10 to 1. That's the basic one. But with these lower temperatures, it allows for bigger snowflakes, which in return will then give you more snowfall accumulation because of having bigger snowflakes. Looking at the Euro here, you can see around Oklahoma is where you're going to want to watch. So we let this play out. This is around 7 p.m. on Friday, and you can see that the system is starting to set up. Okay, so then we let this play out, and you can see it only gets bigger over Oklahoma before it gets massive. So you have all of this snow. Well, then also what you have is a whole bunch of ice, where this will end up being an issue later on due to the amount of ice accumulation that's possible. So we let this play on, and then you start to realize ice is going to clobber a lot of areas. Then this is where you start to notice a northward trend. So you notice here, as the pressure system goes, here it is. So here's your low pressure system, and it, as you can see, it goes northward, right off the coast. So this will then also send all the heavy snow shooting towards here in Pennsylvania. So this will then set up the environment for potential snow. And then since the ground temperatures, when I go over to ground temperatures, these ground temperatures are like low 20s, upper teens, where we're going to see some pretty high snowfall totals because of ratios. So we could see ratios 15 to 1 and some isolated 20 to 1 ratios. So here, this is what will bring most of the snow. So when we go to look at snowfall totals, here's what we're looking at if it were the normal 10 to 1 ratio. If everything was just normal, we would be seeing 12 inches is what the Euro would show. But then when we actually go to look at the ratios, you notice very differently, goes from 12 to 16, where this is due to it accounting for ratios. So this is what will be key for some of the snowfall total stuff, as the temperature will then influence the ratios, and the ratios will then impact the snowfall totals. Now, looking at the ice accumulation totals, this is total freezing rain. So you can see in areas like Louisiana and the whole circled area, that's one pocket of significant ice, which you could see, as well as there is another area here in the Carolinas and Georgia where there could also be significant ice accumulation. So this really will be an issue, since right now the Euro, it's like getting a bit chaotic with ice, but I feel like seeing some upper totals like half an inch of ice and maybe an isolated 3/4 of an inch of ice, like, that wouldn't surprise me. Here I do want to take note on the latest Canadian model run. It does show more potential mixing issues, as here we will get snow, but when we go to around 4 p.m. on Sunday, then it starts to have a little pocket of sleet form in the circled area and then go up, which this could lower snowfall totals, but right now it's just something to watch for, as other models still aren't picking up on anything like that. Looking at the national blend of models, this shows all the probabilities of over 6 inches of snow. This is over 72 hours, which would be just about how long this event should last, and probably is quite a bit longer, but this is good as it can capture total snowfall. So, what we're looking at is these are all the probabilities of over 72 hours of over 6 inches of snow. So these are pretty high already. So we bump it up. Let's go now to a foot. Okay? Let's go up to a foot. This is over the odds of over a foot of snow. This is decently high compared to what it normally would be. So, this is definitely something to look out for, as these are a bit higher probabilities than usual for the national blend of models. So that's all I have for this video. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and comment any questions you have left. I do want to point out, though, right now, is that any snowfall totals that I do bring up are not set in stone. We are still multiple days out, and a lot of things could change. So this is not an official forecast for snowfall totals, but just something to show you what you could expect and see.